strong.
Hi, and welcome to Funny Minds. I'm your host, Lynn B., and I'm here with my co-host,
Edward Bess.
And today we have on a lovely woman. I love her very much. I mean, I don't know her that well, but you know, when you meet somebody, you just love them because of who they are and what they are. And so we have on RANNY LEVY, and RANNY is a child educator, and she is in the media, and she's co-owner of the Coalition for Quality Children's Media, which is an offshoot of Kids First. So welcome to our show, RANNY, and welcome to the new year, because this will be on in the second week of the new year. So welcome to 2025. Let's put it that way.
Oh, this plays in 2025.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, how exciting.
Yes, you'll be on January 14th of 2025.
Wow, I was just scheduling something else for January. I can't believe this, well, you know, we're actually talking in November. Can we say that?
No, it's December.
I mean, right. That's what I meant. December. Did 2024 seem to just blast through like crazy?
Yes. And do you feel like you really accomplished a lot? I feel like I accomplished a lot in some areas and practically nothing in other areas. So I don't know how other people feel, but that's how I feel.
I think that's a good summary. I think I could say ditto to that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Are you working right now, or are you taking some time off for the holidays and going to start again for the new year, or is your schedule so overbounding?
You know, back in the day, we used to have a slow period in the summertime that we could kind of chill out and get organized and, you know, file things and get ready for the new year, because the school year was really our busiest time of the year. Well, that's long changed for many, many years now. So I take every opportunity that I can to get out of Dodge and go to the beach, put my feet in the sand, and regenerate, you know. So as we're talking in January, I will have just come back to the beach. Hopefully I won't look quite so pale as I do now.
Okay. There's always
Ranny, where's
come on, Ranny.
Ranny, where's Dodge for you?
Dodge is Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Ooh,
okay.
Nice.
So when you go to the West Coast, I assume you go to Cali?
I beg your pardon?
I said when you go to the beach, I assumed you head over to California?
Oh, no, I'm headed to Florida. My sister lives on the Gulf Coast of Florida. And I don't know, I guess when my kids grew up and I could never get them to make a decision or make a commitment to what we were going to do for the holidays, I just said, well, you guys do whatever you want. I'm going to my sister's. So
where on the Gulf Coast is she? I'm in Tampa.
You're where?
I'm in Tampa.
Oh, in Tampa. Okay. She's in Englewood. Do you know where Englewood Beach is? Yep. Manasota Key? Yep. Yeah. So it's just south of Venice, north of Fort Myers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it used to be kind of a little hidden spot, but it's kind of been discovered now.
Did she have any trouble with the hurricane?
Fortunately, she escaped trouble. She's very proactive in terms of that. You know, you Floridians are prepared for this. Mm-hmm. Us people that don't live in areas like that get terrified by it.
You're right.
Right. So she put a new roof on before, what was the last big hurricane? Like, I can't remember when that was.
Well, they had back-to-back hurricanes, but
we had
this time.
Yeah, they had, in the same year, but like 3 or 4 years ago, there was another big hurricane. And
down in that area, yeah.
Yeah, and she put a new roof on that year, and whereas everybody else in her neighborhood lost their roof, she was high and dry.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, but her community did not come through unscathed. And as a matter of fact, we were talking last night, and she said, I don't know that you're going to get a lot of beach time in because, the beach all came in and ended up on the road 4 feet deep.
Oh, yeah.
And before they can put that back on the beach, they have to sift it. So they get pieces of broken glass out and, so
interesting. That's
imagine
interesting.
sifting like, I don't know,
like
tons and tons of.
Do they have
she sent me a picture of the beach, and there's piles of sand, like 10, 12 feet high.
Wow.
So
that's
did you have that in Tampa also?
Again, I was fortunate. My wife and I had some damage to our pool enclosure, some screens, and some fencing. That was literally about it. I didn't even lose power. So
wow.
I was really, really fortunate. But I have so many friends throughout the state, and especially down in that area, and a lot of them got hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like my good friend and my vocalist, he lives and works down in Anna Maria Island.
Oh, I love that.
That whole entire, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But the water went across the whole island.
Yeah.
And,
they got slammed.
So he got it pretty good. They're starting to make some headway there now as far as getting back into decent shape.
It's funny, and this does have to do with media, Lynn, so we're not completely off topic here, but I was talking with somebody the other day, the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation mean when I tell you something and it's wrong, but I didn't do it intentionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there was a lot of misinformation going on during this hurricane. And of course, the people who live there get the least amount of information because they don't have power and the cell towers are down and all about that. Whereas disinformation is when you're intentionally giving somebody the wrong information for whatever your reason is.
Whatever purpose, right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's something that we talk with our kids about in our training for Kids First is, we're very attuned to being responsible media users and learning, giving them tools on how to determine, what is really accurate information and what isn't.
Okay. And how do you choose these children? Where, is there some kind of a program or do they write to you or is there an application? Like, how are they chosen for this position?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's tell the audience what the children are and what they do.
Okay. All right. Let's do that.
So Kids First is actually a project of the Coalition for Quality Children's Media, which is a lot of words, right? That's our corporate name, but we are best known. And I loved when you turned it around the other way because we're really best known as Kids First. I mean, if you ask my board members what the name of the organization is, they'd probably tell you Kids First. If you ask the children. So we are a 30-plus-year-old nonprofit organization. So I'm not the owner. I am founder, and I call myself the head learner here. I'm the president, CEO. But we were founded to really help children and parents make good media choices and give them accurate information to do that with. Right?
Okay.
Yep.
So when we started in 1991, we decided that it was really critical to not just have adults reviewing programs, but have kids review it as well. I call it the broccoli principle. All right. So stay with me.
I'm waiting for this
here.
analogy. This is going to be good.
You're making me hungry.
So, a parent might say to you, here, this is broccoli. It's good for you. Eat it. Right?
Okay.
Whereas a kid might go, ugh, tastes terrible. Don't eat that stuff. Or another kid might go, oh, I had that at the Chinese restaurant and it was sauteed with green or with black bean paste and it was amazing. So ask your mom to get it at the Chinese restaurant. So who's a kid more likely to listen to? Some adult who's reviewing films, who's antiquated to them, anything over 30 is antiquated, right? Or somebody their own age who reviews it and gives them their honest opinion
And
about it.
it's like a peer review.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So, so we have a stable of 65 reporters, tweens and teens. So they are between the ages of 9, don't take them younger than 9,
Okay.
and 23. We used to kick them out when they turned 18, and not everybody wanted to leave because they've been watching films for free for the last 10 years.
Yeah, so why would you want to leave and pay to go to the movies?
It's kind of a good deal for them. As a matter of fact, I have a reporter from Tampa in Gainesville. He goes to school in Gainesville, who was a reporter with us. I won't say his name because we're always very careful about keeping them anonymous. But he was a reporter with us when he was in high school for all 4 years in high school. Very brilliant young man, just very attentive, quite wonderful to work with. And then he left and went to college. And he called me last year, actually at Christmas time, and asked if he could come back.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he said, I know I'm not a little kid anymore, but I really had a great time doing that. And I find myself when I go to watch a film or, whether I go to the cinema to see it or watch it streaming, that I still have that critical eye that you taught us to use. And I'm always reviewing it basically and talking with my peers about it. And I think you need to have the opinion of some older kids or, young adults as well. Okay. And I went, okay, fine. I'm not very good at saying no to young people. So he came back with us and he's every bit as attentive as he always has been. But our kids come from all across the country. And we also have children in 4 international locations.
Oh, that's good. Wow.
So it's really our program. You ask how we recruited them. So a lot of them come to us through a platform online called Kids Casted, which a lot of children go to that are trying to get into the film business. Okay. And they're looking for paid jobs. That you've heard of it before? Yeah.
No, so I have not.
Oh, okay. Edward was shaking his head. So with Kids Casting, we love about the kids that come to us from there is that they all know how to be camera and they all have headshots. So, they're prepared in that way. They're not always the best writers, but you know what? That's something that we can teach them, right?
Right.
Sure.
A lot of them come from word of mouth. I mean, we've worked with educators around the country for many years, educators out of the country. So, they will often refer a child to us. They apply online and they send us a written application to audition. They have to send a writing sample review, nothing too extensive, 200 words, and a sample video. So we know that they're capable of recording themselves and then uploading that because we don't want to teach those skills.
Right. Right.
So they have to have a certain skill level in order to apply to us. And then we do an online audition on Zoom or similar platform, and the ones who are selected then have to take a boot camp, an initial boot camp with us. And it really is aptly named a boot camp because it's kind of fast and furious. It takes place over 6 sessions, once a week during the school year, once a day during the summer when kids aren't in school. And they meet. We used to do this in person, the boot camp, and they met all day from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. But after the pandemic, we switched to doing it online, and we haven't gone back to live again just because online is so much simpler for them and less costly for everybody.
Well, that's true. That is very true. Yes.
Yeah. And that's really when we started developing our international group, because we have a reporter two reporters in Tel Aviv, one in Scotland, one in Brazil, a couple from Canada. So as long as they can write and speak the English language, they can join us.
Now, how many people are involved in the acceptance process of these children?
It's a small group from our board that makes
Okay.
the decisions about it.
And how many applicants would you say you get per year?
Oh, gosh.
Give me a guess.
Well, it's like, oh, I don't remember that number. We have, our training takes place. So I guess we usually train about 10 to 12 kids every quarter. And from those kids, we probably have twice as many as that apply.
And what are the specifics that you look for in who you're going to choose?
Well, like I said, they have to submit a writing sample and a video sample. So that's the critical thing. Yeah. I mean, Lynn, you wouldn't believe how many people don't send in a writing sample with their application, although it's right there in the application. And we write back and go, hey, you look terrific, but you forgot to fill out, part 5 or whatever it is on the form. We need your writing example. Cricket.
Well, that would be critical in their review, because if they can't follow instructions,
Yeah, exactly.
And
we try to be very clear from the get-go about what our expectations are of them. It sounds like a lot of fun, right? Oh, goody, I get to go see films for free. But there is a lot of responsibility to it as well. You have to submit and my kids write 400-word written reviews. Even my 9-year-olds write 400-word
400 words. All right.
We teach them how to use their smartphone with voice recognition, because a 9-year-old just started writing yesterday,
Right. They're not going to be that fast.
They can talk 400 words, no problem. But the idea of writing it sends them into a panic. But I'll tell you what, once they get into it, everything changes for them. Their schoolwork becomes easier. I mean, it crosses into so many other things that they do all of a sudden, because every child, whenever they watch a film, they have to review it in 400 words, and they have to also do a 2-minute video review of it. So that's really learning how to present yourself online.
Now, the one video I saw, don't remember whether it was the director or producer. The child was interviewing either one or the other. I don't know if it was the director or producer. So is that usual that they will have someone from the film that they talk to, or do these people talk to them?
Those are interviews. Not every film that we review we do an interview with. It just depends whether or not whoever is representing that film makes that available to us, and whether it's live or virtual. Again, pre-pandemic, all of the interviews were live pretty much. So unless you lived in LA, New York, or Miami, you really didn't have an opportunity to do a live interview. Whereas today, post-COVID, almost everything is hybrid. It's live if you live in LA, New York, or Miami, or virtual if you don't. So that kind of levels the playing field, because we have kids from all across the country and outside of the country. So whereas it used to be that if you didn't live in one of those 3 cities, you weren't going to have an opportunity to do something live, to do an interview.
Are you allowing them, or are you going to start allowing them to interject some of their work into AI, or you want this right from them? It's got to be straight from them. Or what are your feelings on AI?
I'm glad that you asked that question. You're the second person that asked that of me today.
Oh, okay.
What's your position on AI? I look at AI as a tool, okay? I use it every single day, particularly when I'm grant writing, which a certain portion of my day is spent doing, because that's the fun part of being the president. You get to raise the money to make it all happen.
Literally make it all happen.
Yeah, really.
And by the way, we are doing our annual campaign now. Well, this is January. We'll probably still be wrapping up in January. So go to our website and make a donation. Kidsfirst.org. Very simple.
Kidsfirst.org.
So, yeah, I really look at AI as a tool. And like most tools, you need to use it appropriately. You don't just go, okay, write a review of Wicked for me from the perspective of a 13-year-old. That would be really pretty unethical, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But you might write your review of Wicked and then put it in and say, can you improve on this?
Right.
Which is kind of what I do when I'm writing a grant proposal.
That's what I do too. Yes. I give it a lot of information, then ask it to make the best social media posts, exciting, funny, but I give it most of the information.
Right. I do too. Yeah. But when you put it in there, the amazing thing is, it scans the internet and things that you've said before or you've written before or things on your website or other social media. All of a sudden it feeds it back to you and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot that I saw that. That was a pretty profound statement, right?
Exactly. But that's a great way to put that. I didn't think of it that way.
We can't remember everything that we do or say, but AI definitely can. But you're right. It's, you don't want somebody cheating, just going around and, I never considered using tools when you lose them appropriately, cheating. I remember when my daughter was in school, and I think when she was in high school, I forget, she was studying Shakespeare and some particular Shakespeare play. Let's say it's Macbeth, and reading it can be really complicated and trying to figure out as you're looking in that old English, what is actually being said. So after talking with her about it, I said, come on, let's go down to the library and let's go rent the movie. This was obviously pre-Netflix, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes, well, Mom, isn't that cheating? I said, no, let's sit and watch the movie because then you'll understand what the story is all about. And then you can go back and read it and it'll make more sense to you.
Well, that's true, but you're still using different tools to try and understand the main object of what you have to write about.
Exactly.
Really? Yeah, so I don't consider that cheating.
No, it's just another way to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, really.
Especially with Shakespeare, you need all the help you can get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
Well, I worked in the educational film market for many years before getting involved with Kids First. And one of the things that I was a big advocate for was having building level collections. We worked mostly with the media centers. And at that time, this was in the late 80s, early 90s, schools would have a central media center. So for the whole district. So if you were reading about Martin Luther King, you could rent the film and show it to your kids. But it took several weeks to arrange to do that. You had to order it for the media center. You had to get it in. You had to order the equipment so you could play it. It was a very complex.
Now it's so simplistic to do all of that.
Right. I was an advocate for let's allow these schools to have building level collections. So you can have a book about Martin Luther King and a film about him on the same shelf right next to each other.
Right. Yes.
Sure.
Because there's nothing more compelling than watching him give his I Have a Dream speech, right?
Right.
Whereas if you read
that's the most moving part of, I think, most of anything that he ever did, if you think about it.
Right, exactly. He was an amazing orator.
Right.
But you don't get that from reading about him.
No, you don't. No, you physically have to watch him. Reading about him is one thing, but you physically have to watch him. And that's, if you think about it, that's really true with everything because, I could talk to somebody on the phone, but if I'm seeing them face to face, I'm getting so much more out of it. And people say so much without even opening their mouth, so to speak, so you can read a person without even them talking. So it is very important to have the visual contact with something. So that's a wonderful idea, putting a video next to a book and giving the person the whole package.
It makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I remember there was a period of time, I can't remember what book it was that I was reading. I remember I was on a a transatlantic flight reading some book somebody had given to me. And they said, don't be concerned about the subject. What I want you to see is that this book has embedded videos in it.
Oh.
Yeah, and it did. And it was so much fun to read and then watch and be able to watch the videos at different places in the book. I don't know that concept has really gone too far. I'm sure somebody watching this is going to call you and go, oh, yeah, my company's been doing that for 20 years. Where have you people been?
It's funny you should say that. Many, many years ago, I did independent accounting. And I had one client that put everything on audio. And I said to them, why can't you get somebody and do a video of this? Because a lot of people get very bored just listening to a tape, whereas if you're watching actually somebody read it with the expressions and everything else, it probably would be a lot more interesting to them. And they looked at me and they said, oh, that's ridiculous. And do something like that. And now you have so many books that are on video, and I'm like, hey, I developed that concept a long time ago.
You should be getting royalties for that idea.
I should be.
Yeah, really.
But it's true. But, your children that are involved in this project, which I think is absolutely wonderful. And the first time I looked at you and I read about you, I was like, oh, my God, I have to have her on the show and I have to talk to her. And, it was so funny that you came on the wrong day when we were talking to Stephen Mayer, and he knows you. So I guess a lot of people, in the film world know you and know of Kids First and deal with your kids. So that's really amazing. I'm so excited for you and I'm so excited for the program. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. And my older grandchildren are too old, but my younger grandchildren, when they get up to that age, don't think they're not putting in an application. I'm only kidding. But no, I just think the concept is amazing. Because you're right. Who else does a kid want to listen to but another kid? Definitely. It's so amazing. It's even amazing now, like, my little ones, if they go to see a movie, to hear their concept of that movie when you get out of the movie theater. Like, what did they think about that? My one grandson just saw Moana 2, and he didn't want to see it. He loved Moana, but he didn't want to see it. No, he was so staunch about it. And then he goes to see it. Oh my God, that's all he did was blah, 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 and Maui this and blah, blah, blah. And his whole concept of the movie was so interesting to listen to. And now I can't wait to watch it myself. But yeah, but it is, kids interviewing and putting out blogs and stuff like that, about movies. It's so interesting on their perception and concept of what they see, what they hear, and how they feel about things. It's really amazing.
Well, I think what stands out to me, Randy, is also too the fact that you're grabbing applicants that would love to be in the movie business or in media or anything of the sort.
Yeah.
So they're getting a glimpse, and not just watching movies and trying to interpret how they feel about the movie, but they're getting a glimpse into the business. They're seeing different aspects of the business.
Yeah, we've become kind of a career conduit for the kids who want to be in the entertainment business. It's funny because over the years, I've had a lot of university students work with us as interns who help edit our kids' reviews and their interviews, because everything is edited before it goes up. We never tell the kids what to say or what to do, but we do train them about what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. You don't interview somebody and go, hey, I hear your dog just died. How do you feel about that? Not so good.
What does that have to do with the movie, Matt? You can say that off
personal questions. Stick with their relationship to the film. But we have stayed in touch with a lot of our alumni, especially those who stay in the entertainment business, but even some who don't. We did a couple of interviews this summer, and one was with our alumni and Scott Mendelson, who is a box office pundit and former reviewer for Forbes and a bunch of other publications. Scott, I forget right now, but now he works for Puck News, and he's mostly is a box office pundit. And this guy is such a wealth of information. I read his stuff every day, and I'm always amazed at
Oh,
how
that's
he,
wonderful.
yeah. But so, and I said to him, hey, is there any way that our kids' reviews could be incorporated into what you're doing? He goes, well, not the way they are now, because I really don't review individual films in that way, which is what they do. He said, but I'd love to talk with them about their ideas about the entertainment business and what they think is missing or what they would like to see happening that isn't
Could it be
happening right
improved or
now.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did a couple of interviews. I'll send you a link to it. It's on our YouTube
Oh, okay.
channel. If you just put Scott Mendelson in them, but we were supposed to talk for an hour and it went 2 hours.
Wow. Wow.
And it was interesting because we had 5 of our alumni involved. 2 were in college, and the other 3 are all young working professionals in the entertainment business now, but film school graduates. Hearing them talk about how their experience with Kids First really gave them a head start in getting into the entertainment business, both during their college years and then as a working young professional. I mean, one of the girls said, she said, you know what? I use what I learned at Kids First every day in my work.
That's wonderful.
Mm.
Whether
That is
it's
so wonderful. I mean, that's a testament to you also,
yeah.
Ranny. It really is.
Well, one of the big things, Lynn, is meeting deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting deadlines. So when they go to see a film, they have 48 hours to turn in their written review.
Okay.
We edit it, give it back to them, and then they have another 48 hours to turn in their videotape review.
That's great.
And there's no excuses because, you know, we may go see a film on a Sunday that comes out on Thursday. So do the math, you know.
Right, exactly.
You need all that time because, you know, after they submit their video review, our editor has to edit that before it can get posted and go
get
live.
out there. Okay.
So there's not a lot of wiggle room for mistakes.
No, in all honesty, no. If you think about, you know, Broadway plays, you know, openings, stuff like that, you're getting reviews the next day on things, really, in all honesty. You know, and that's what everybody's looking for.
That's what we tell the kids, you know. Adults have like 4 hours to turn this in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they have a leeway as a child, but once they get to be in the adult stage, I should say, they don't have that kind of leeway.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Well, my kids are all in school and doing theater and volleyball and tennis. And, you know, I mean, it's funny whenever I get a request at the last minute, you know, we need somebody in LA to cover this tomorrow. I'm like, you're kidding, right?
And let's do it now.
I said, you know, we need more notice than that. These kids are very busy, you know, that we have to schedule. You know, we can't turn on a dime, you know, I mean, very rarely can I find somebody at the last minute. And most of the time, you know, if I try to find somebody, it's a fruitless pursuit. It takes way too much time trying to find somebody. And, you know, then you don't find anybody. You've just wasted an hour and a half.
I know. Yeah.
Kids have to have time to be kids.
Right.
You know, they are living their life. They have a lot going on, but it is a great opportunity to be part of this program because obviously it's teaching more. They're gaining more out of it than just what they're doing.
I think it's wonderful. But you know, they have to also be responsible for the work that they have to do in school too, and they have deadlines there too. So you have to put your, you know, what's my priorities, you know, type of thing.
Well, I had one parent stop one of my board members in New York. Her son had just done our boot camp training. This was pre-COVID, I think. It was when we were doing trainings live. And a brilliant young man, I think he was 9 at the time, but he was huge. He was the biggest kid in the class. And I mean, we had kids between the ages of 9 and 16 all in the same class. And he got picked on by some of the older kids because they thought he was older because he was bigger, you know. but a smart little guy and, figured it all out. But he hated school and did poorly in school, which frustrated his mother because she was a teacher.
Aww.
So she ran into one of my board members, I don't know, a few months after boot camp. And she said, "What have you done to my son?" And he goes, "Oh, good question."
Okay, what am I getting here?
I don't know what's going on, And she goes, I could never get him to do his homework after school. He would come home and ditch his homework and go outside. And he had a band, go outside and practice with his band. And she said, now he comes home and he does his homework and then he goes out and works with his band. And I asked him, what happened? And he goes, after working with Kids First and writing 400-word reviews, my schoolwork is so easy.
Oh, okay. That's a great tagline. I like that.
And she goes, "God bless you."
That's wonderful.
Oh,
well, Ranny, tell everybody where, I know you said that you're looking for donations. It's, for you, the end of the year. For this episode will be the beginning of the year. But, where are people going to find you and where are they going to send these donations? So let everybody know.
Very simple, kidsfirst.org. That's our website. They can make a donation there. They can watch our videotape reviews. They can read our reviews. They can link to any of our social media. It's interesting because we've used YouTube since the beginning. Pretty much we use it as a player on our site to play our reviews. And that used to be where most people watched our videotape reviews and interviews. Today, it's Instagram and TikTok.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because that's where the kids are.
All right. Yeah, TikTok I know is, great for kids. I know that's absolutely wonderful. I put some media stuff on there, but I don't put the actual episodes on there. But
yeah.
The clips I do, and Instagram I put everything on. So, YouTube is my big go-to. But that's interesting, that you mentioned those two. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of our reporters are on TikTok and Instagram, and some of them have huge following. I mean, a couple of them have over 500,000 followers.
Oh my goodness! Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
So it only makes sense for them to continue forward with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really. But the next time you're on, I'm going to have you back on in about 6 months. I'd like to have one of your interviewers on too.
Oh, we'd love to do that.
I think that would be so amazing, to have one.
Well, and something else that we do, Lynn, that we didn't get to talk about is we also curate a collection of films that we co-host film festivals featuring films by independent and student filmmakers worldwide. And that program has gone international.
Wow.
Now, we started last year, we did a film festival in Ukraine, and that took off like crazy. And then this spring, we did one in Pakistan. And next year, we're expanding the one in Pakistan with support from the U.S. Embassy there. And we'll also be doing one in India that will reach over 500 schools.
That's amazing. Wow. That is absolutely amazing. So you're like growing in leaps and bounds and going out in a lot of different directions.
And this is really, this whole international expansion of the film festival is something that we've always been open to, but it just kind of happened organically. I said to my board, let's scrap doing the strategic planning, because the best things that are going on right now are things that are just coming to us, opportunities that are coming to us.
That's great, Ranny. That is great.
I think my father used to say, my father had a saying, no amount of planning can ever replace dumb luck.
That's true.
That
It's true,
is
but if
true.
you're gonna grow that big and that fast, they're gonna have to split you in two, right?
Really. And it's amazing that these
Keep
kids
half of
have
you
a
here,
following
put
the
the other
way they
half over
have.
in Europe, and
Really.
I know. It's bizarre, isn't it?
It is. But I mean, I really thank you a lot for being on because I was so interested when I saw this. And now even more, I'm even more interested in it because I think it's wonderful. Anything that has to do with children is just right up my alley, and always
Well,
has
you
been. So
are a love. Thanks for reaching out to me.
really, no. And like I said, I really want to have one of the kids on because I think that would be like so amazing, to
We
really
will do that.
interact with them. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, maybe
Well,
we'll
Randy,
bring it's 2 or 3 of them on. It's because it's interesting seeing
yeah.
the point of view from kids of
A
different
couple, yes.
ages.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, that would be
yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, I think that would be a wonderful thing. We'll do that in the spring. Be great. So
sounds good.
I'm gonna thank you again for being on and we're funnyminds.com. And I thank you for taking the time to be with us on this episode. It's a wonderful episode. And if you go on our website, there's something you're going to see. And there's 2 organizations that we're really very interested in, and that's St. Jude's Children's Hospital and breast cancer. And there's a big purple button. And if you'd like to make a donation, that would be wonderful. And we have merch, and we have all different kind of merch. And this happens to be a mug, but we have all different hats and coats. And, everybody's got merch nowadays, and we're not different than anybody else. We have merch too. You got to do merch. So again, Ranny, thanks for being on. I'm going to say have a great holiday season because I'm talking to you before Christmas and New Year's, but you'll be on after New Year's. So let's start the year off right with a lot of ho-hos and happy,
Absolutely.
laughing times and great times. And I wish a lot of really great things for you in this coming
Thank
year.
you. Also with
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, thanks again for being on. This is RANNY Levy with Kids First, and she's been a great person to really talk to today, and I'm sure everybody is going to help them out because that's the important thing to do. So with
Awesome.
that, I'm going to say laughter is the best medicine, and I'm going to say goodbye and enjoy yourself.
Thank you so much, Ranny.
Thank you.
Bye.